What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another spoiler review here at Big Gold Bell Media. Today we're going to review Invincible Season 2 Part 2 Episode 6, which is actually premiering on March 21st. Guys, another great episode from Invincible as well. This is your second episode checking out, Damien. What did you think of it so far, man? How do you feel about it?
I mean, we left off on a cliffhanger, right?
Yeah.
So we got people in space, we got people getting, killed and staying in the invincible area of people dying and Mark getting beat up. So so far 2 for 2.
Yeah. I would say this episode has a little bit more sentiment to it. There is a little bit more, I guess, conflicted dialogue between a lot of different characters, and you get to explore a lot more relationships, I think, in this one as well. I think it actually picks up with I guess ensuing the fight, right?
Yes, the fight in space.
The fight in space where they're fighting against the squids.
The Segwids.
Segwids. I don't know why I call them a Segway or a slither squid. Squids. Okay, I think it's the squids. And if you want to just talk about a little bit about that, I mean, we get to see Mark and actually showcase some of that power.
So okay, these things graft onto you like Starro, and they take over your body. This is not a Starro reference, not at all. No. But all these Segwids are basically ganging up on the Guardians of the Globe, and it comes down to Robot and what's your face?
Adam Eve, right?
Adam Eve are the last two, like, to try to hold them off, while Robot tries to make this like cosmic EMP battery to short them out. And by the skin of their teeth, even though we have a brief moment where Robot and Adam Eve are possessed by the Segwids, we prevail, right? So woohoo, good prevails. They rescue the astronaut, and all's well that ends well after the fight, right? They use this cosmic battery to just kill the rest of the Segwids, or so we thought. And then we're back to them trying to, it cuts away to the Lizard League, reveling in their glory, about to shoot Rex in the head, which he does. And then Rex, for whatever reason, going ham on this dude. Adrenaline's a hell of a thing, like we said. Yeah. And then there's the after effect of him realizing, oh shit, I don't have a hand. And he faints.
Yeah, I think that was a crazy cool ending to that beginning to this episode into the last episode. I think it was really good. Just showcasing, I mean, we all are not invincible by any means being human beings, but just having that extra little oomph at the end, he was actually able to prevail. And I was so glad to, because I guess the Lizard Prince, or whatever you want to call him, he was a lizard turd, man. I completely hate that guy. Super arrogant, right? I'm like, I mean, because he thought, I mean, I thought too, though, when he shot Rex in the head, I'm like, oh, that's it, right? It's over. This group of heroes is gone, and then the Guardians of the Globe are going to be devastated and probably take out
the Lizard League,
serious vengeance out on these two people at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to be gone. Like, I mean, Black Samson would have went crazy, probably, I think. Just being one of the big guys in the group, or either Monster Girl too. Monster Girl is super powerful, crazy little power that she has, though. But then we kind of get to cut back, and we get to see that these heroes, or two of them, actually survive, right? Yes. So we get to see that Shrink and Ray actually survive, as well as Rex. Rex is in less bad shape, I guess, than Shrink and Ray. I mean, Shrink and Ray, she's I don't know what she's in right now, but she is not coming out of that in a while. I think she's in a coma, to be honest with you.
They're all looking pretty rough, man.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
We realized that Duplicate dies.
Yeah,
so she dead.
That's it. There's no more duplication. She's gone. And of course, I mean, Immortal, if people, this is your first time noticing or knowing about the relationship between Immortal or Duplicate, because you just came into the season, of course, but I mean, they had like a strong built little relationship between each other. And it's weird because Immortal has lived all these years, right? Hundreds of years. and it's like he finally decided that he fell in love. I mean,
better late than never, I guess.
I mean, better late than never, right? I mean, I do get that, but it is really, really hitting him really, really hard. And we get to see him kind of down at this point. I mean, he's not that type of person that's usually down on love or, you know, love lost. He's just like, oh, get over it. We're going to move on. We're a team. We're proficient. Very robotic.
Right.
But if you want to talk about it, what did you think about Immortal's emotions showing in this episode?
I mean, you know, you guys know me. I'm the mental health guy. So I'm watching this man grieve, you know, this superhero grieve the loss of a loved one. And as we see later in this episode, it affects him really hard, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's grieving. He's mourning the loss of someone that was close to him. And it just so happened to be she was the only one that died. So obviously he's probably thinking, why did it have to be her? Why couldn't it have been Rex? You know, things like that. But, you know, I mean, come on. We all would have thought it. Why couldn't it be
Rex? I definitely would have thought Rex would have been the one to take that as well, to be honest with you. So, I really get it.
My man Immortal's going through it, you know, and this episode, like you said, it's a lot more emotional in terms of feelings for all the characters, right? So we cut to Mark coming back from space again, hangs out with his girlfriend briefly. Love you, missed you, you're safe, great. Then he goes to hang out with Debbie, and we find out little purple boy has a name.
Got a name, finally. My God.
Oliver.
That's a cute name. My daughter's name is Olivia, so I'm like, you know what? Perfect little name. I love that for him.
And he calls him bro when he comes home.
He does. But he wasn't even talking last episode. He couldn't even walk last episode, I think. Or he just started walking. And now he's already talking.
Didn't we say he's going to age
this is exactly what we talked about. Exactly what we talked about. Within episodes, which is like within 7 days, we literally saw the change from this character from episode 5 to episode 6. I think that's so crazy. But yeah, I mean, within this time, though, we still get to see that Debbie's trying to find somebody to watch Oliver at this point because she eventually has to go back to work, right?
She gotta go back to work, man.
This boy ain't got no job. He has no job. He's just a superhero for free at this point, and a broke college student. Okay, that's two lines of debt is what I just heard just now. So Debbie trying to figure out what am I going to do? How am I going to support 3 people now? It was just her for a little while because Mark was gone, but now he's back. Another mouth to feed, and he brought another mouth, Oliver. And I can tell you right now, he's gonna be a teenager in 2 weeks and tearing through her fridge, most likely. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, for the time being, Debbie is trying to find a babysitter, and of course, Cecil being Cecil, trying to have his hand on everything and be in control of everything. He wants to take Oliver from Debbie, you know, because he's got people that can help him, right? Like, I know people that can help him. So we get to see Debbie kind of interviewing different candidates to be babysitters so Debbie can go back to work. And we get one lady that you had a reference, looked very much like Mary Poppins, right? With I think she had like an Austrian accent, I guess you can call it, or I don't know.
Her name was Helga.
Helga, yeah, her name was Helga though. So obviously Debbie could smell it a mile away that she was sent by Cecil, right? So she's like, all right, you lied to me. I know you're working for Cecil. You can get out. She leaves, and immediately when she leaves,
bro, not even 5 seconds later.
I'm like, how did she get to the door so fast with this old lady in your way? You must have bum rushed this old lady and pushed her, and then got to the door. We see April. April is another candidate to be the babysitter that came for the interview, and she immediately is up front with Debbie and says, okay, Cecil sent me, but I've dealt, like you said earlier, I've dealt with superhuman or super strength or superhero children before, right? So I think she actually gets a shot, or she gets the job because she was upfront with Debbie. And I think that's what Debbie's really looking for, because for the past few months, Debbie's been subjected to so many people lying to her that now somebody coming to her and being honest, that's what she's looking for. She's like, I can handle honesty, but I can't handle lies this whole entire time. Well, which I didn't think about until just now.
Yeah, she gets the job because, like you said, she leads off with it, but also she tells her like, "Hey, Cecil might have sent me, but you're the boss to Debbie.
Right.
Like, I do what you want."
Right.
And then we hear Purple Boy again. I know I'm gonna call him Purple Boy for a while.
Yeah.
He go, "Mama boss." So he already know mom's the boss.
Yep.
And as a baby, so that's smart. So April gets the job, but I'm still weird about someone working for Cecil keeping an eye on the baby. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It got my suspicions.
Yeah, and I felt like Debbie probably felt like I had to compromise, you know, because I felt like no matter who was sent to her, she was gonna end up getting somebody from Cecil.
Right.
Cecil is just, his eyes are just too everywhere not to be able to implant someone into your life so that he has a hand or some type of upper hand on the situation, I think. So I don't know. I think she just probably went with the best choice that she thought she could use, and April happened to be that candidate. So hopefully that works out, honestly, at this point. And then we get to kind of see Mark as well as Amber, like you said, trying to figure things out again, right? And the both of them are going to, I guess, external parties from their relationship to get advice, right, on how they can make this thing work. I believe Amber went to, who did she go? She went to
Adam Eve.
Yeah. And then Mark ended up going to the tailor, right?
Well, he starts off talking to Rex.
Right. Which is not the best person to talk to.
I would not either.
Sure.
So he goes to the tailor, Art.
Right. So he ended up going with Art, and Art basically just gives him the same information that he ended up using with Amber, right? As far as, like you said, enjoy the time that you guys have together, try to figure things out. Because, I mean, they know, or like Nolan said in the previous episodes, is that Mark is going to outlive almost everybody that he loves, right? So it's going to be really hard for him to kind of, I mean, he wants to find some type of normalcy in life, but he can really never be normal at this point. I mean, he's going to live too long at this point. Yeah, he's, I mean, a gift and a curse at this point. But he discovers, I think, these graphic novels, right, from his father, or that his father kept. And I think the tailor had them, right? Or were they up in the tree?
These were books that Art had, that Nolan apparently tried to be a writer, and it failed miserably, according to Art. But apparently, the key to beating the Viltrumites might be in these books. Yeah. So what we're watching as Mark is starting to read these books, it's these space odysseys, very Star Warsian. Yeah, we have this weapon that's almost akin to the Ultimate Nullifier in Marvel Comics, you know, that could possibly like destroy the Viltrumites. Yeah. So Mark's throwing himself into these books, and as it turns out, these books are Nolan's real life accounts of the battles he's been in since he's been alive. And Mark is going to dive deeper into these books, apparently, to see if there's anything they could use against the Viltrumites.
Yeah. And I think that's great that he randomly was able to stumble upon this information, right? Because if there wasn't any type of crisis or issue going on, there'd be no reason for him to be able to look into this stuff. But now he's kind of discovering more about not only his self, but also his father as well. Like how many lives has his dad lived at this point? You know, I mean, you think about like Star Trek and all these other shows, they go on for decades, you know? So now he's looking back at all these groups of stories and information in these graphic novels, and he's like, man, I get to pull this stuff from the stories of my dad that my dad probably wouldn't have even told me, because he's lived so many lives. Can he remember it all? I don't know. I mean, maybe Viltrumites have a crazy memory. I mean, but I don't think so. I don't think you can think that far back, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Do you think Nolan actually remembers these stories, though, if he didn't have them written down?
I mean, think about us as people, right? How many times do we remember every single iota of important information that's happened to us? So he wrote it down. You know, it's like, I can't even remember what I had for dinner last night. So
it is it is crazy to even think about or even consider like he might possibly have a memory like that, though. But we get to kind of see, or we get to pan back to honestly the relationship with Immortal, right? So Immortal's trying to figure things out, and he's kind of stuck because he wants to kind of change his life and not be just a superhero anymore. Yeah, he doesn't want to be immortal. He'd rather probably have died with Kate in battle, and that been that, you know, and they, you know, go off to heaven together, or they, you know, they go into the afterlife together at this point, because he's never experienced that. He's lived for so long. And there is a I guess you can call it some type of not a meteor, but something's coming into the atmosphere, right? Something's coming really fast and joining.
They think it's another Segway ship,
right? I think it's another Segway ship. So of course, Immortal's like, I'm ready to let some rage out. My girl's gone. Time for me to bust some heads open. Flies up into space. And it's Alan the alien, man. Like, pump your brakes, relax.
My man Seth Rogen.
Yeah, Seth Rogen again. He's like, whoa, what are you? Why are you so tense? Like, hey, yeah. And then,
chill, bro.
I mean, of course, he doesn't know that Alan speaks through telekinesis, right? So he's like, get out of my head. Why are you talking to me? And he's like, well, how would you want me to talk to you? Like, I don't, we're in space. Like, I mean, I don't want to open my mouth. Like, we just talk like this. And ensuingly, they almost get ready to fight. But of course, Invincible comes and breaks it up. Thank God, because we see Alan now, and Alan is looking like a big boy. Okay. And this is our second time seeing Alan so far since the last episode. And Alan looks like he could probably break the Immortal in half.
Yeah. Without
any type of effort. Would you have liked to seen that fight, honestly, between the two of them? Yeah.
I would love to have seen that fight, strictly because you have a rage-filled Immortal who's mourning, who probably just buried his lover, right? Yeah. So the funeral happened. So he's got some emotions going on. So he's high-strung, like you say. He want to get this rage out. Yeah. But then Alan's like, dude, calm the hell down, man.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing? He's like,
I'm just here to look for Invincible. I don't know where he lives, you know. So I would like to see them throw hands, though.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. Maybe we'll get to see that in later episodes. I don't know. But I don't see a reason why they would oppose each other at this point. You know, that doesn't make sense. But then of course, Alan and not Immortal, sorry, Invincible or Mark get to meet back up, and they get to kind of go through what has been happening to each other in the past couple months, right? Yeah. And of course, Alan is telling him his story is where he's come from. Mark is telling him what's been going on with him, and he gets to show him these graphic novels, right? So he takes the novels and he makes a copy of them, and he's like, you know, I need to take these back to Thaddeus, who's played by Peter Cullen again, Optimus Prime, everybody. Because this is probably information that they could use to be able to figure out how to
beat the Viltrumites
at this point. Well, what do you think we're gonna get possibly? Like, do you think we're gonna get like an ultimate fight within the next episode or so, or do you think it's gonna be like kind of drawn out to kind of get us?
Yeah, I think in these kinds of shows, we're gonna draw this out as long as humanly possible. Like The Walking Dead, you know, it lasted 45 seasons. So I could see this as a long-term storyline. Obviously, it's Earth versus the Viltrumites, or Invincible and the Guardians versus the Viltrumites. That's eventual. But like we were saying before, it's the lead up. It's the other stuff in the middle of it that I think is more interesting than just a typical good guy versus bad guy, you know, typical hero thing. We got Mark and his girlfriend problems. You know, they went on a date. It was really awkward. Yeah, you know, it was really strange. They had coffee and they had no chemistry. You know, they're just going through it. You know what I mean? And we talked about earlier where both, you know, Mark and his girlfriend, they want to break up, right? Because they don't know if this is worth saving. So I find that stuff more interesting than the Viltrumite fight, because we know long term that's the thing, but the little idiosyncratics of Mark's life, I think for me, are more important.
Yeah, I definitely think it definitely builds more depth to the character too as well, because we've been talking about this Viltrumite fight since I think the 5th episode of season 1, which has been like 2 years now. So like for us, it's like, all right, it's coming. It's going to eventually happen, right? But like all the little things that are building Mark into being able to be the real Invincible that we want him to be, you know, are getting him there slowly though. But also in this episode we get to actually see that the ship, or the Viltrumite ship that Nolan is actually on currently, and he's basically being prepped for execution. And I guess a Viltrumite can only be executed when they're at their full potential. I mean, which is requiring him to have to fight to, I guess, get to his peak strength. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure why, like,
yeah, they don't really go into it.
Yeah, it doesn't really like tell you details, like why does he need to be at his peak strength for him to die? Like, I don't, seems like a waste. Like, you just take me out. I don't have to like work out, you know. I'm gonna work out before
I'm gonna build my strength up.
Need me to be tired. Okay, that's weird. No Gatorade. All right. And then it kind of cuts back to the astronaut. His name was it, no, not Rex, it was Neil something.
Might have been,
possibly. But the astronaut who Shapeshifter actually took on, or took on his identity, is actually getting his apartment back. And that was like our end little as a tidbit towards
Russ Livingston. Right? It was Russ
Livingston. My God, I want to call him Neil so wrong. So for some reason.
All astronauts look alike, I know.
Yeah. Neil Armstrong. But yeah, so we get to see him cleaning up his apartment and trying to take his life back from the Martian that was actually using it during the time that he was actually not on Earth. And there's all these like disgusting things and all this different stuff that he didn't clean up. And then we see that Sequid. You're
gonna get this right.
Sequid. I'm gonna get it right one day. I promise you. Maybe episode 8 we'll be able to get it right. Sequid is actually still lingering in the apartment, and that's it. He can't escape, and it jumps right back on him, and then we get that creepy little smile, and then we know that the Sequids are coming back to Earth. And this is going to be crazy because I don't know. I mean, unless they can develop some type of EMP down the line again, I don't know how this is going to work out, but it just keeps on building. We just keep getting more and more drama with these little slither things. They're driving me crazy at this point. If you had to rate this episode, what would you think about this one compared? Not compared to last one.
One more thing.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
The stinger at the end in the credit scene is the return of Angstrom Levy, aka the Super Brain guy.
That's right. He's
getting his suit on, you know, and then he teleports through different portals, and he's got to look good for his next engagement, whatever that is. So yeah, I'm assuming in the next episode he's going to be a villain or something.
Yeah, he just seems like the ultimate mastermind for the upcoming episode. So I mean, when we left off in, I think, episode 4, I think he was in that one. Yeah, he was in episode 4. It just seemed crazy, his whole origin story altogether. So I'm excited to see where it goes with him at this point. I mean, great voice actor, but
Sterling K. Brown.
It's going to be a wild one. But yeah, what did you think about this episode? If you had to compare it, or on its own,
goes back to 3.5. 3.5 out of 5.
3.5. Okay, so
getting there.
Yeah, it's definitely getting there. It's definitely building. Definitely building my excitement and interest as we go along throughout the season. But yeah, I think it's really, really good, and I'm excited for everybody back at home to check it out. Make sure you guys go check out Invincible Season 2, Part 2, Episode 6, coming to Prime on March 21st. If you guys like this content and want to see more content just like it, make sure you go ahead and check us out at biggoldbelt.com. Until next time, peace.